Well. Look at you, sitting there, drowning in silence. Don't say a word. I don't need to hear it. I can see it all over your face. The pain, the betrayal, the doubt eating you alive from the inside. You think I don't know? Trust me, I know. I've been there. I've stared into the abyss where your so-called best wasn't enough, where everything you poured out for them became the very blade they used to slice you open. You gave them your all. How noble of you. You thought it would matter, didn't you? You thought if you just gave a little more. No, scratch that. If you gave everything, they'd finally see you. They'd appreciate you. They'd love you. But here's the truth you've been refusing to face. People like that don't appreciate what they don't earn. They take. They use. They spit it out and move on like it was their right all along. Now you're sitting there, replaying every single moment, every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every piece of you chipped away to build them up. For what? So they could throw you to the wolves the second you weren't useful anymore. So they could laugh behind your back while you bled dry for their approval? Yeah, I thought so. You're angry? Good. You should be. Anger is power. It's pure. It cuts through the lies and excuses. But let me ask you this. What are you gonna do with that anger? Are you gonna sit here, letting it rot you from the inside, crying over how unfair it all is? Or are you gonna take that rage and mold it into something they can't ignore, something they can't destroy? Yeah, here's the truth. People will use you until there's nothing left. And then they'll blame you for breaking. They'll make you the villain. Like your weakness was the flaw all along. And you let them. Don't look at me like that. You handed them the tools. You gave them access to your soul. You laid yourself bare for them to exploit. Why? Because you wanted to believe they were different. 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 But let me tell you something. Worth it is a lie they sell to fools like us. See, the trick isn't to stop giving. That's the easy way out. The trick is to give smarter. To know who deserves your best and who doesn't even deserve a shadow of you. And you've been giving your best to scavengers, to people who couldn't even grasp the value of what you offered, even if you carved it out in blood. And let's talk about the guilt. That's the real kicker, isn't it? The way they make you feel like it's your fault, like you didn't do enough. Let me guess. They told you that, didn't they? That you should have tried harder, been better, given more. And you believed them. Hell, you're still sitting here, believing them. Well, let me break it to you. They were never going to be satisfied. You could have given them the stars, the moon, your last breath, and it still wouldn't have been enough. Because people like that, they're empty. No matter how much you pour into them, they'll never be full. So here's what you need to do. Stop. Stop giving. Stop explaining. Stop waiting for them to see your worth. Because they won't. They can't. And it's not your job to teach them. Your job now is to take all that pain, all that heartbreak, and turn it into something they can't ignore, something they can't destroy. You're going to build yourself into a fortress, brick by goddamn brick, until the only thing they can do is stand outside and watch. Let them scream. Let them beg. Let them tear themselves apart, trying to figure out why they can't touch you anymore. Because here's the thing. They only wanted you because you were within reach. Take that away, and suddenly, and when they see you, oh, they will. They'll hate you for it. They'll hate that you survived, that you thrived, that you turned their betrayal into your greatest strength. That's your revenge, not their tears, not their regret. Those are worthless. Your revenge is living so goddamn well that their existence becomes irrelevant. So stop sitting there like a victim. You're not a victim. You're a storm waiting to happen. And storms don't apologize for the destruction they leave behind. They just are. Now go. Be the storm. Show them what it looks like when the best they threw away becomes the worst thing they ever faced. Oh, you think I'm done? No, this is just the beginning. Sit down. Listen up. You need to hear this. Because if you walk away now, you'll fall right back into that broken, bleeding state you were in before. And that's not an option anymore. You want to know why it hurts so much? Why their betrayal cuts deeper than anything else? It's because you trusted them. You let them in. You opened doors that no one else could even knock on. And they didn't just walk in. They tore the place apart. Took everything you gave them and turned it into a weapon. But here's the kicker. They didn't do it because they hated you. No, that would be too easy. At least with hatred, you'd know where you stand. No, they did it because they needed you. Without you, they're nothing. Empty shells, feeding off whatever light they can steal from someone else. And you made it easy for them. You handed them the match and then wondered why everything burned. But don't you dare feel sorry for them. Don't waste another tear on people who couldn't recognize gold if it fell into their hands. The moment you start pitying them, the moment you start thinking maybe they didn't mean it, that's when you lose. Why can't they touch you anymore? Because here's the thing. They never wanted you. They wanted your proximity. They only cared because you were within reach. Take that away and they're nothing. Empty. Invisible. But you'll rise. Not because you're better than them. No, that's too simple. You'll rise because you've been through hell and you know the way back. Every scar, that becomes the armor you wear when you face the world again. Stop sitting there feeling sorry for yourself. You're not a victim. No, you're a storm. A storm that's about to break. And storms, they don't apologize for the destruction they leave behind. They simply exist. Now go. Be that storm. Show them what it looks like when the best they threw away becomes the worst they'll ever face. Oh, you think I'm done? No. This is just the beginning. Sit down, let me finish. You need to hear this because if you walk out now, you'll go right back to being that broken, bleeding fool who let them walk all over you. And that's not an option anymore. Not after tonight. And you want to know why it hurts so much? Why their betrayal cuts deeper than anything else? It's because you trusted them. You let them in. You opened doors that no one else could even knock on. And what did they do? They didn't just walk in. They destroyed it. They took everything you gave them and turned it into a weapon against you. But here's the real kicker. They didn't do it because they hated you. No, that would have been too easy. Hate at least gives you clarity. No, they did it because they needed you. Without you, they're nothing. Empty shells, desperate to feed off whatever light they can steal from someone else. And you made it easy for them. You handed them the match and then wondered why everything burned. But don't you dare feel sorry for them. Don't you dare waste another tear on people who wouldn't recognize gold if it fell into their hands. The moment you start pitying them, when you start thinking, maybe they didn't mean it, or maybe I deserved it, that's when they win. And I'll tell you something, they don't get to win. Not anymore. You've been playing this game wrong your whole damn life. You thought if you just gave enough, if you just worked hard enough, if you just loved enough, they'd give back. Well, that's not how it works. People don't work that way. The world doesn't work that way. Love, loyalty, respect, they're not handed out like candy. They're earned, fought for. And if they're not willing to fight for you, then they don't deserve you. You gave them your best, and they used it against you. Let that sink in. Every kind word, every sacrifice, every time you swallowed your pride to keep the peace, they turned it all into a weapon. They took your kindness for weakness, your love for naivety. But that ends now. From this moment forward, your best isn't for them. Your best is for you. Your energy, your time, your heart. It's all for the one person who's actually earned it. You. Let them fend for themselves. Let them drown in the emptiness they try to leave you with. You owe them nothing. Think I'm being harsh? Good. You need harsh. You need someone to look you in the eye and tell you the truth you've been running from your whole damn life. You've been too soft, too forgiving, too willing to see the good in people who didn't have a shred of good in them. That's why they used you. That's why they broke you. Because you let them. You're not soft anymore. Oh no, that part of you died the moment they turned their backs, the moment they proved they'd rather watch you burn than lift a finger to help. But from those ashes, you're going to rise, not as the person you once were, but as something else, something stronger, something they'll never comprehend, because they're too weak to survive the hell you've been through. You're gonna walk out of this and build a life so unshakable they will infect your beauty, Your whispers, your lies, you blew it. Pretty will not glass. Untouchable. You had your chance. You blew it. You leave it. You have. Why? Because that's the ultimate power. The ability to walk away and know you don't need them. You never did. Every time they tried to break you, all they did was sharpen your edges. And here's the truth they'll never grasp. You're not doing this for revenge. No, revenge is petty. It's short-lived. This, right here, is about freedom. It's about breaking free from the chains they wrapped around you and proving to yourself that you're so much more than the version they tried to reduce you. So let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them spread their pathetic little stories about how you failed, how you weren't enough. Because while they're stuck clinging to the scraps of who you used to be, you'll be out there creating a future so bright it blinds them. And one day, one glorious day, they'll look back at their wreckage, at the emptiness they tried to fill with your light, and realize the truth. They lost everything. They'll see the void they've been living in, a void they'll never escape. And you won't even notice. You'll be too busy living, too busy thriving, too busy being the person you were always meant to be, before they tried to tear you apart. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to sit there, wallowing in the wreckage they left behind, or are you going to rise, dust yourself off, and show them that the best they tried to destroy was just the beginning? The choice is yours. But let me make one thing clear. If you choose to rise, if you choose to fight, if you choose to become the storm that washes them away, you'll never regret. Because in the end, the greatest revenge isn't in destroying them. It's in proving they never had the power to destroy you. Still sitting there. You think this is some sweet little pep talk? A pick-me-up that'll solve all your problems? Nah, you're not gonna find some magic fix here. I'm not here to hold your hand and tell you everything will be fine. That's the lie they sell you every damn day. And the truth is this. You've been living in a world that's never been kind. You've been in this war, this cold, unforgiving place, where no one's going to throw you a lifeline. So you either learn to survive, or you sink. Simple as that. And guess what? You've already been in it. Every moment of doubt, every betrayal, every piece of yourself they chipped away, that's been the war. And you've been fighting it without even realizing. But you didn't know the rules, did you? You thought you could win with honor, with decency, with kindness. You thought being good would somehow shield you from the chaos. But no one's coming to save you. No one's handing out medals for being the nice guy. You gave them your best, and they used it against you. Let that sink in. Every kind word, every sacrifice, every time you swallowed your pride to keep the peace, they turned it all into a weapon. They took your kindness for weakness, your love for naivety. But that ends now. Give! That's what they do. That's what people do when they see you as a tool, not a person. And you let them. You let them use you. You let them drain you. You thought if you gave everything, they'd give something in return. Maybe you thought if you just loved them enough, they'd love you back. But it was never that simple, was it? You were a weapon to them, an asset, an extension of their own desires. They never cared about you. They only cared about what you could do for them. That's the ugly truth. The truth you refuse to see. But that's a joke. Time doesn't heal anything. Time just makes you forget. And forgetting doesn't make the pain go away. It just makes you numb. What you need is something deeper. Something that cuts through your bones. Something that makes you stronger. Makes you feel alive. And that's what I'm talking about. Stop wasting your time looking for some light at the end of the tunnel. There's no light. Not for people like us. There's only the fire inside you. The rage. The fury. The hunger. You think I'm crazy? Nah, I'm a realist. I see the world for what it is. Cold, brutal, and unforgiving. And that's the world you're in. The only way out? You fight like hell. You're sitting there, feeling sorry for yourself, wondering why they didn't appreciate you, wondering why they didn't see your worth. But here's the thing, they didn't see it because they didn't have to. You handed it to them on a silver platter. And that's not how this game works. People don't respect what they don't have to earn. They take and take. And the second they don't need you anymore, they toss you aside like trash. But here's where it gets good. You're not them. No, you don't have to be like them. You've got a choice. You can stay stuck in this pit of regret, asking yourself where it all went wrong. Or you can rise, pick yourself up off the floor, and show them exactly who the hell you are. Show them what happens when they mistake your kindness for weakness. The next time someone tries to use you, make sure they remember your name. Make sure they remember what it feels like to cross you. You don't have to kill them. You don't have to scream. Hell, you don't even have to say a word. But when you rise from this, when you come back stronger, they'll remember the mistake they made. They'll remember the one person the one person they thought they could use and toss aside. They'll see you standing tall and they'll know what they lost. But here's the kicker. You don't need them to know. You don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. You only need you, because that's what's left when they're gone. When they've used you up, bled you dry, and moved on to their next victim, the only thing that's gonna matter is what you've become. Huh? You are to spare. So stop wasting another second on them. Stop wasting another second on their games, their manipulation, their empty promises. Take all that energy you've been giving to them and pour it into yourself. I've seen it 1,000 times. People who thought they could find salvation in others. People who gave and gave until they had nothing left. You know what happens then? You become a shell. You become a ghost of who you used to be. And that's the last thing you want. You want to feel alive. You want to feel every breath, every pulse, every heartbeat. But you'll never get that if you keep handing your life over to people who don't deserve a damn thing from you. You thought you could fix them. You thought you could save them. You thought if you just gave enough of yourself, enough love, enough time, enough of everything, they'd turn around. But deep down, you always knew they didn't deserve it. And that, right there, is what's eating you alive. It's not just the betrayal, it's the fact that you let yourself believe in people who were never worth it. Isn't it a cruel joke? The way you trusted them, the way you opened up, gave them your heart, your time, your soul, only to watch them throw it all away like trash. Now, here you are, sitting in the wreckage, trying to make sense of something that will never make sense. But here's the truth. You don't need to make sense of it. You don't need their reasons, their excuses, or their half-hearted apologies. All you need is the lesson. And the lesson is simple. People will always take what you give them, and they'll always want more. They'll drain you dry if you let them. They'll feed off your light until there's nothing left but darkness. And then they'll blame you for being empty. But you're not empty, are you? Not yet. You've still got something left. Something they couldn't take from you, no matter how hard they tried. That's what you hold on to. That's what you use to rebuild. And don't think for a second that rebuilding means going back to who you were. That person, gone, dead, buried, thanks to them. No, rebuilding means becoming someone new, someone stronger, someone smarter, colder, someone who doesn't let their guard down, someone who doesn't waste time on people who don't deserve it. You're going to look at the world differently now. You're going to look at it and say, you can't break me. Not anymore. Because that's what they wanted. They wanted you broken. They wanted you doubting yourself, questioning everything, too scared to move forward. They wanted you trapped in the wreckage they left behind. But if you stay there, if you let them win, you're giving them exactly what they want. But if you rise, oh, if you rise, if you take everything they did to you and turn it into fuel, into fire, into something so unstoppable it burns through everything in its path, that's when you win. That's when you remind them that they didn't break you, they forged. And let me tell you, there's nothing more terrifying to the people who tried to destroy you than seeing you thrive. Seeing you smile when they thought you'd never smile again. Seeing you succeed when they counted on your failure. Seeing you walk away without a single look back, without giving them the satisfaction of your anger or your tears. Because here's the real secret. The power isn't in revenge. It's in indifference. It's in showing them that they don't matter anymore. That their words, their actions, their betrayal mean nothing to you But don't mistake indifference for weakness. No. Indifference is the sharpest weapon you'll ever wield. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about genuinely not caring. It's knowing deep down that you're better off without them. And that's the part that will kill them. Not your anger, not your success, but the realization that they no longer exist in your world, that they're just a footnote in your story, while you're the whole damn book. So stop wasting your time on them. Stop giving them space in your mind and your heart. They don't deserve it. They never did. Instead, take all that energy you've been giving them and use it to build something real, something unshakable. And the next time someone tries to take advantage of you, when someone thinks they can use you and toss you aside, you'll be ready. You'll see it coming a mile away. And you'll smile. Not because you're naive, but because you know better now. Because you've learned. And that's the thing about pain, isn't it? It's the best teacher you'll ever have. It's cruel, it's relentless, but it's honest. It doesn't lie to you. It doesn't sugarcoat the truth. It shows you exactly who you are and what you're capable of. And you're capable of more than you. There's a fire burning inside you, a hunger, a drive, something they could never touch, no matter how hard they tried. And now it's time to let that fire consume everything that doesn't serve you. Let it light the way to something bigger, something better, because that's what they feared. That's why they tried to hold you down. They saw your potential. They saw what you could become, and it terrified. But now there's nothing holding you back. No chains, no doubts, no lies. Just you and the open road ahead. So, what are you waiting for? Get up, move, rise. And when you rise, don't just rise, dominate. This world doesn't owe you anything. But you owe it to yourself to take everything you've got and make them regret ever doubting you. You think this is the end of the lesson? No, we're just getting to the good part. Hang tight, because what comes next is the part they don't teach you in their little self-help books. The part no one dares to say out loud. Pain isn't just a teacher, it's an artist. It shapes you, molds you. It carves away the soft, weak parts until what's left is raw, unbreakable. But only if you let it. Only if you embrace it. Most people run from pain, numb it, drown it, hide from it like scared little children. And where does that get them? Nowhere. They stay weak, fragile, waiting for the next storm to tear them apart. But you're not most people, are you? No, you're different. I can see it. The flicker in your eyes, that ember still burning even after everything they did to snuff it out. That's your edge. That's your fire. And if you feed it, if you stoke it until it's a roaring inferno, there's nothing in this world that can stop you. But don't get comfortable. This isn't a fairy tale. There's no happy ending waiting for you at the end of the road. No applause. No pat on the back for surviving. Survival is messy. It's ugly. And it's lonely. But it's also powerful. Because when you survive, When you push through the pain and come out the other side, you realize something you don't need any. That's the secret, isn't it? The thing they never want you to figure out. They want you dependent, needy, begging for their scraps of attention, their approval, their fake love. But the second you realize you don't need them, that you never needed them, their power over you crumbles. And oh, how they'll hate that. How they'll scramble to pull you back down, to remind you of your place. But you're not going back, are you? No. You've seen what's on the other side of dependence. You want more. You want freedom. Real freedom. The kind that comes from knowing you're untouched. Here's the thing about freedom. It comes with a price. It's not given, it's earned. Through blood, sweat, and tears. Through sacrifice. The biggest sacrifice? Letting go of who you were. The version of you that needed them, that sought their approval, that believed in their lies. That version has to die for the real you to emerge. And when you let that version of yourself go, when you bury it deep where it can never crawl back out, you'll feel it. That rush, that clarity, that power. It's like shedding old skin, stepping into something new, something stronger. But don't think for a second that the world will just sit back and let you rise. Oh no. They'll come for you. They'll try to drag you back down to the shadows, back to where you believe you should. They'll call you selfish, cold, ungrateful. They'll throw every insult, every guilt trip, every manipulation they can think of to break you. And you'll smile. Every insult, every guilt trip. Once you've tasted that freedom, that raw, unfiltered power, there's no going back. And when they realize they can't control you anymore, when they see that you've become something they'll never understand, they'll hate you for it. They'll fear you for it. But deep down, they'll envy you because they'll see what you've become. A force of nature, a storm, something they can't predict, can't contain, can't destroy. And that's what terrifies them the most. So don't stop. Don't look back. Don't let their whispers, their lies, their pathetic little games distract you. You've got work to do. You've got a life to build, a legacy to leave behind. Not for them, not for anyone else, but for you. Because when it's all said and done, when the dust settles and the world finally shuts up, the only thing that'll matter is what you did with the time you had. Not what they thought of you, not whether they forgave you or loved you or missed you. None of that crap matters. What matters is you, your fire, your strength, your will to keep going, even when the whole damn world tried to break you. So go. Go and make them choke on the ashes of what they tried to destroy. Go and build something so unshakable, so untouchable, that their betrayal becomes nothing more than a distant. And when you look back, when you see how far you've come, you'll thank them. Not because they deserve it, but because they showed you exactly who you are. A survivor, a fighter, a storm. Now go, and don't you dare stop until the whole world knows your name.